Betfair Trading at the Cheltenham Festival just isn't like standard horse racing. If you're not ready for it, more experienced traders like myself are going to end up exploiting you. I'm sorry, it's just the truth. So in this clip, I'm going to share 3 tips that will help you avoid getting exploited by people who have done it before. So you've only got one shot at it this year, and I want to get straight into the 3 points without beating around the bush. So what are they? First of all, why is Cheltenham trading so different to standard horse racing trading on Betfair Exchange? Secondly, what must you do different to compensate for the different market characteristics, the different goings on within the markets, in order to maximise yourself and leave yourself less vulnerable to predators within the market? And thirdly, we'll share a quick comparison on screen between the two, just so you can see it visually and it's very clear in what I'm saying. Now, for anybody that's new to trading, you should, or people that have already been watching this channel should already know that all profitable trading comes from imbalances within the market and exploiting those imbalances. So, you know, where there's change, there's opportunity, and where there's an imbalance, there's usually an opportunity too. Fortunately, with Cheltenham, it's a large opportunity because there is so much betting volume that passes through the markets. However, you can't treat each situation the same. Not every segment of time down to post is worth the same amount, and therefore, when the opportunity is there, you need to be fearless and strike and use larger stakes. So it's completely crucial that you understand the market characteristics, particularly the changes in those characteristics. So number one, what is the difference between standard horse racing trading and Cheltenham trading on Betfair's exchange? First of all, there's a popularity, as I've kind of already alluded to there. There's more industry hype, there's more coverage in the media, there's more betting money flowing into the market. When it is flowing into the market, typically the average stake increases too. The general public actually bet more. Coverage is more drawn out than your standard horse racing, so you do have a slightly larger trading window down to the start of a race, although the peak volume is still towards the end of that trading window, right at the start of the race, and sometimes just after the start of the race, especially if there's a false start or the race is delayed. With all of this hype also comes increased kind of like waffle and punditry on the TV. You can't fault anyone for that, it's their job at the end of the day, but you need to make sure that you're focusing on the bright spots, focusing on the right areas and exploiting those and leaving the rest. So if it's your first Cheltenham trading, I would say to avoid confusion, maybe don't trade, or trade them significantly less, or set yourself a rule to trade on far lower stakes on the races in between the Cheltenham races. The bright spots will be the Cheltenham races, and it's hard to switch from kind of one mode to another mode from one race to the other. Okay, it makes sense. It's kind of like if you're practicing training in the gym, you're lifting heavy weights, and then all of a sudden you're going to do some kind of endurance work. It just all becomes very confusing to change, especially 10 minutes doing one thing and then 10 minutes doing another. So focus on one main area, or perhaps do it the other way around. Focus on the standard racing if that's what you're used to. Watch the Cheltenham markets and try to understand them. But be aware that they're complete changes, and they change and it changes back, and so on and so forth throughout the afternoon. Volumes increase drastically, which is the main difference between the two market types. So you can use larger stakes over shorter periods of time, particularly when you're scalping, stuff like that. Obviously scalping is my main area of expertise, anybody that's followed me over time. So you probably want to focus on scalping. I might be slightly biased in saying that because it's, you know, it's what I like to do. But you want to focus down near close to the start, scalping and absorbing that brilliant market liquidity that's peaking and increasing, and all the extra matching. Because there's more information at the Cheltenham Festival, and there's more hype, and there's more media research and work and form and all that kind of stuff, and you've got higher profile horses going into it, there tends to be more information as well, which also has a knock-on effect to market characteristics, in the sense that prices are typically more stable, so there's less movement in terms of the price, and money turned over at those prices. But they are the main differences, excluding one other thing which is very important. So with all of this extra activity, on Betfair's exchange and other exchanges. Pro traders know this, I know this, the general public know this, and so there's a lot more unmatched money in the market. So if we go back to what I said earlier on in this video about imbalances, then you've got to remember that there's a lot more unmatched money in the market too. So a little tip, or a little hint if you like, without going too heavy on it, because this is YouTube, but if you focus on areas where there's a little bit less unmatched money but there is increased match money, that would be more of an imbalance, and so that would be an area to focus on, particularly near the start of a race. So the second point, what do we need to do to compensate? I've already started to sort of touch on this, I guess, there with that last point about the unmatched money and the match money. You need to adapt your style, okay? You need to adapt your approach to the markets. You need to be very risk averse and focus on the positive characteristics within the market. Like I said, increased volume, increased stakes. So scalping, increased stakes late on, stuff like that. You do need to avoid overstaking though, because the other thing is people get too excited at Cheltenham. It's only 1 week of the year. Yes, there's a lot of coverage. You'll see all the premium channels covering it. A lot of people getting excited about certain horses and stuff like that. And sometimes there can be a chain reaction in the media when certain things happen and a certain horse or yard or trainer or jockey combo is focused on. But you need to just make sure that you don't overexpose yourself and overstake and get part of that fanaticism and hype and excitement, because at the end of the day, fanaticism is the opposite of value. It's people giving away value and deluding themselves. And then finally, I mean, it comes back to the unmatched match thing again. Yes, there's more money turned over. Yes, there's more unmatched money in the market, and that also means that you have to wait longer in the queue positions in the betting exchanges. So you may need to be patient at points in time. You may just sit there and feel a little bit more uncomfortable with an open position while you're waiting for the other side of that trade to get matched. That is a common characteristic, a common frustration for people that are trading their first Cheltenham. So being impatient, you can often put yourself in a position of vulnerability, and you know, I've alluded to this many times in different videos, particularly on those filler races, something that I mentioned earlier in this video as well. The people that are more experienced will actually spot that, and they'll probably try and get more money out of you or lead you into more panic, so they can exploit that for themselves. It might sound a little bit sad, at the end of the day, it's the game. Everybody's against each other. The third point is that I'm going to show you it on screen. So we'll do that in a second, but before I do that, there's one or two things that I just want to sort of highlight for you to remember, right? You don't have to win every single situation, and you don't have to win every single Cheltenham race. You don't even have to participate in every single race. Okay, so pick your battles very carefully. When you're confident, stake up, and when you're not, sit on your hands. You don't have to be involved. Everybody feels like they have to be involved constantly, and that is actually an advantage in itself, picking and choosing the places and only playing when you know there's a far increased chance of you actually winning. Too many go into the week thinking that they're going to come out of it making a fortune, and yes, you may and you can, and I have in the past, but going into that is counterproductive. Going into the week with that mindset is counterproductive. It makes you behave differently on the back end because you go in with different expectations. So avoid that, because you know you'll be screwing yourself over. And I mean, finally, really, just remain methodical. Don't take excessive risk unless you really have to. Or in fact, don't take excessive risk at all. There shouldn't really be a situation where you really have to. If you do find yourself doing that, take a step back, stop, cool off, give yourself a few minutes to think it through, and you know, come back with a fresh set of eyes and a fresh feeling on the situation. So last of all, we'll show you the difference on screen now. If you want any extra help with scalping throughout the week, check out the links that we'll put above and below to help you on your journey with improving and developing your scalping on Betfair's exchange.